Hi, everybody. Alex here with a quick note about this episode. It was quite hot in the studio the day we recorded, and we decided to run a fan. It is audible in the recording, but just barely. I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks. Welcome to Between the Shelves, the premier Savo Library podcast. I'm joined once again by Mary.
Hi.
And Rachel.
Hello.
And this episode, we're going to be talking about what we're into. So, I'll be up front. I was struggling a little bit coming up with stuff because this is like the fourth podcast I've recorded in like 3 weeks. And I'm kind of running out of stuff to talk about. Not that I'm not doing anything, but I kind of have like ongoing projects.
Right.
So a lot of it's carrying over week to week. But I did come up with a few things. So the first thing I want to talk about is it's summertime. And I don't know, I'm not from Long Island originally, I'm from Rhode Island. And in Rhode Island, there's actually like a pretty decent like reggae scene. So I grew up like with reggae, and I like reggae music. My father was really into reggae music, so I learned a lot through him. So when the summertime comes around, I start playing reggae. Like that's just...
I did not know that about you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the first thing that comes to mind. But yeah, I love reggae. You can catch me chucking in the dance hall sometimes, but not recently. But
is that what you listen to in the car on your breaks? Do you like playing reggae music?
sometimes. I was bumping it when I came in this morning.
Oh, okay.
So, a lot of people, their reggae knowledge kind of ends with Bob Marley, which is fine,
Right.
because, he's the king, everyone should know Bob Marley. So I came up with a couple of more recommendations for those of you that like reggae, but maybe want to learn a little bit more. I got 2 movies and 2 albums.
Okay.
So I'll be quick. So I'll start with the movies. So if you're interested in like the history of reggae and like kind of the fundamentals of, or the founding kind of fathers of reggae and how it kind of got started, there's a great documentary called Rude Boy: The History of Trojan Records. Trojan Records is like the biggest record company. They like signed everybody like during the golden age. They're kind of like the Motown of reggae. So there's a great documentary, Rude Boy: The History of Trojan Records. Fantastic. It starts in I think like the 60s and goes up to maybe like the 80s, like the golden era of when all these bands got started. And so that one's really great. Definitely check it out. The soundtrack for that is also phenomenal. It's just hit after hit after hit. I'm sure you've heard many of them. Even if you are not interested in reggae, you probably heard a lot of them anyways.
What's it called again?
Rude Boy: The History of Trojan Records.
I'll write that down.
And I think the soundtrack is the same title. That's definitely one to check out. Now, the next one is not a documentary. It's a movie. It's the Small Axe series by Steve McQueen. Have you heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
It came out, I think, 2 years ago. It was an Amazon Prime exclusive.
Okay.
Steve McQueen, he's not the Steve McQueen from like the 70s.
Right.
It's Steve McQueen. He's the director of 12 Years a Slave
Okay.
and Widows and a couple of other ones. But he did a 5-movie deal with Amazon Prime called Small Axe. So they all got released at the same time. They're 5 movies varying in length. Some of them are like full-length 2-hour movies. Some of them are a little bit shorter. It's called Small Axe. It actually just came out on Blu-ray too. So if you want to check it out at the library, we have it. All 5 movies are great, like 4-star and above, 4 out of 5 stars or above.
Wow.
But the one and they're all set in London during like the 60s and 70s, and they're not related. They're all standalone movies, but they all they're all set in the same area, and they all feature kind of like different immigrant stories in London at the time, and they're all sort of have reggae as like a touch in the stories at different parts. But the one that I want to talk about is called Lovers Rock. I think it was the second of the 5 that came out. It's my second favorite of the 5, but it's really good. It's a romance story, and it's about these 2 young people who meet at a house party in London, a reggae house party. So it's all set, I think, over the course of one night or a whole day, maybe going into the next morning, if I remember correctly. Great story. If you like romance, it's a good romance story. Very well directed. I mean, he won Best Director, so he knows what he's doing. He's a great director. But it's a great little movie. It's not too long. Great soundtrack, and it really makes you feel like what it was like to live there at that time, like seeing that scene like developing in London at the time. Great movie. I recommend all the movies, but that one's good. And Mangrove is the other really good one. So definitely check that out. So Small Axe by Steve McQueen.
All right, sounds good.
And then the albums I want to talk about. So I already mentioned the Rude Boy, The History of Trojan Records soundtrack. That's a great one. There's another collection called, it's also a soundtrack for a movie, The Harder They Come. Mm-hmm. It's a movie, came out in the 70s. It stars Jimmy Cliff, who is a singer, a reggae singer. But the soundtrack from that movie is fantastic. Like, it was, I think, filmed in Jamaica. So it features a lot of reggae artists, like have cameos in it, and all the hits that came out at that time, they're all in the soundtrack. So it's a really great soundtrack. So definitely check that one out. And then the last one I want to mention is probably my favorite reggae album of all time. It's Blackheart Man by Bunny Wailer. So a little thing about Bunny Wailer, he was part of Bob Marley and the Wailers. Yes. But when Bob Marley went to America and started getting really popular, Bunny Wailer stayed behind. He thought Bob was selling out by, appealing to these American audiences. Yeah. So he stayed behind and did his own thing. And one of his first albums, if not his first album he did solo, is called Blackheart Man. And it's so good, like all the way through. Every song is a hit. I just put it on every summer, and I vibe with it, and I love it. So that's my quick kind of reggae 101. If you're interested, check it out. And that's the first thing I'm into. Reggae.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, I guess my turn.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to talk about that I'm into is the show Queer Eye, which is not new. It's been on for a few years on Netflix. Mm-hmm. It's the second, regeneration of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, which is where 5 gay men basically make over a straight man in all aspects. There's someone dedicated to food who helps them cook and learn his way around the kitchen. There's clothing, there's relationships, interior design, and your inner work, your emotions and all that. So this started a few years ago with 5 new guys, and I kind of took a break for a while and didn't watch any of it, but I got back into it recently because it is the most wholesome show you will probably ever watch. It's nothing but positivity and warmth and radiance. These guys, and they don't just do straight men anymore. They dropped that part from the title. It's just called Queer Eye. And so they help women out too, gay, straight, non-binary, whatever. They help everyone out. And it's so good. All these people they help, they're called heroes. So when they help their hero, they're nominated by someone in their life who thinks they deserve this. They've had a rough time. They've, maybe gotten divorced, or, they came out of cancer, they're cancer-free now, or whatever the case may be. And they come and they help them. And there's no negativity at all. It's just it's funny. It's just really heartwarming. Like, it makes you feel good about the world after you're done watching it, which is what I think everyone needs right now.
That's a nice twist on modernizing the show, I think. Was the original show that too, where people had to be like nominated by their friends?
I believe so.
Or was it just like picking out slobs?
No. I think you did have to be nominated. Okay. I used to watch that back in the day. But yeah, they're all just their own personalities, and they're so funny, and I just can't tell you how much I love this show. It's so good. It makes my heart happy. It's one of those shows.
Yeah. I think everyone needs something like that, whether it's a podcast or a show or something that they can kind of go back, like a comfort.
Yeah. Show. And there's also a Queer Eye Lego set, which came out a few years ago, and I didn't have it, and now it's retired. So now I have to get it on eBay. So...
What's in the Lego set?
FYI, my dad's listening. It's their loft, their apartment. Oh. So what they did in earlier seasons was, after they finish up with the hero, it would usually be leading up to something. So it would be like the hero was getting ready to throw a party or a fundraiser for work, and they would show him or her, getting ready and greeting his friends and family, and they would watch from their lofts. And they had a dog with them, and they would just watch and be like, "Oh my God, look at him! He did so good!" It's just, so sweet. So this is the loft area, I believe, and I think it has like a Jonathan Van Ness is one who does hair. JVN, and he has like a little salon chair, I think, in there, and there's a kitchen where Anthony cooks, and it's got a little bit of everything. So that's my next purchase.
I wouldn't have thought like cooking would be one of the like pillars.
But it is, I mean, food's really important, and good food, good nutrition, and it could be an activity you do with, your significant other, your family. You entertain people at your house. You have to cook a little bit. So it's really cool. And Anthony takes parts of the heroes, like culture sometimes too. They'll make, jambalaya with one person. One time he made someone's grandmother's recipe for something and incorporates it. Or sometimes they're really just teaching people how to cook. Like men and women who I don't even know how to boil water. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he teaches them. And another thing I like about this show, it's coming to me now, is with JVN too. If he's not comfortable doing someone's hair, if they're African American, and he's not comfortable doing their hair, he'll call in somebody else who is comfortable with that. And so I think it's good that they don't go beyond what they can do. They know when they need extra help.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool, because he's usually the one who primarily will do that.
Interesting. One thing I can't stand on TV shows is watching people cook, because I used to be a cook.
Did you?
Professionally for many, many years. And not a great profession. Just a disclaimer, don't go into it if you're interested. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's like my number one pet peeve. I hate watching people, especially like cut things, or like when you watch like a show and it's like set in, like they have a scene in a kitchen. They never, ever, 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 I've never seen anyone get it right. Never.
Did you see the show Bear?
I knew you were going to say that. I have not. That's the one show I have not.
Okay.
I know everyone, that's like the first thing people say. We gotta watch Bear.
You have to watch Bear. I've never worked in a kitchen either. I don't know my way around a kitchen for the life of me. But people who have worked in kitchens have said this show is totally accurate, 100% accurate.
I know. It looks like a I know it won a bunch of awards. It looks like a well-made show, but I don't want to even relive at that part of my life for a moment. Like I get too many sensory flashbacks. I will not enjoy it. I know I won't.
That's fair.
But that's probably an indication that it's accurate.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to keep that in the back burner because I do have like a secret obsession with cooking shows. I'm an extremely picky eater, very picky. And I don't I have like OCD about food. I don't like my foods to touch on a plate. Like I'm weird that way. But I love to watch cooking shows.
You have to watch Bear then.
I definitely will, because MasterChef is one of my favorites. I'm sure you have something to say about MasterChef, but I love MasterChef and I love Gordon Ramsay, so I love to watch anything that he is in. So it's just funny, we just brought up cooking shows, so I just had to say that. I love my cooking shows. My interest. So in summer, my little tradition with myself is I like to go back and reread some of my favorite Shakespeare plays. I love Shakespeare. And this was something that I started kind of middle of high school. I went to Connecticut High School, and there he did a Shakespeare festival at the end of the school year. And he had stationed all across the high school and at different points outside and inside the building, he had different scenes from Shakespeare's plays going on at once. So people could walk around and watch all these different like Shakespeare scenes play out. And I loved that. And then I was in like a theater camp when I was younger, and we went to see Shakespeare in the Park at Central Park, and I saw Cymbeline there, and I just loved it. I loved the experience, and now in the summertime, I love to find some sort of outdoor Shakespeare play that's going on, and I love to go see it. Shakespeare in the Park took a break from COVID, I think from 2020 and 2021. I can't remember exactly. And they used to do 3 different Shakespeare plays in the park. And now this year they're only doing one, and they're doing Hamlet. And I think every year Hamlet is always one of the 3 plays that they produce. And now this year it's like the only one. And as much as I really want to go see it, especially because it's an all African American cast too, and I really want to see that, I don't want to see a depressing Shakespeare play in the summer. I really want to go see one of his comedies. I did see, I can't remember exactly where it is now. I wish I wrote it down. I'm pretty sure it's Heckscher State Park, but I can't 100% remember. Someplace on Long Island is doing Twelfth Night outside, and I really want to go see that because I love to see Shakespeare outside. My college, Queens College, has a beautiful amphitheater outside where they did Shakespeare plays, and not always full productions, but sometimes they would do like half productions or some scenes, and I just love that experience. So I'm hunting that down for summer.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you have any Shakespeare plays to recommend for reading? I think
Yes.
I read Hamlet. I read Midnight. Oh God, what is
Midsummer
it?
Dream.
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah.
The big ones. But do you have any, like, some of the comedy? I don't think I've read any of the comedies.
Yes.
Twelfth Night is on my list. I gotta read Twelfth Night.
Cymbeline, that is such a good one. I had to read that because I was going to see the play with this theater group that I was with. But it was just because it's not one you hear about often, it was such a good production to see. And Lily Rabe was in it. And Lily Rabe from American Horror Story. She was in it. She was wonderful. And at the time, I had long blonde hair and bangs, and everyone said I looked just like her. And the director actually came up to me and was like, Lily, you need to go get your mic on. And everyone laughed because they're like, ha, we said you look like Lily. But Cymbeline is definitely one to read because it's a really good comedy, and I loved that one. That was so much fun to see.
Awesome.
That's so funny. I went to college with a guy who was a distant relative of Shakespeare.
Ooh.
His last name was Shakespeare.
Oh,
Jordan Shakespeare.
wow.
I remember thinking he must be so popular on campus. Like, oh my God, imagine. And he was
That
an
is
English major like I
awesome.
was. So like, come on.
Wow.
Hello.
Wow.
Genetics.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's a last name that you need to hold on to.
You don't forget that last name.
No.
No. Definitely not.
Awesome. I got one other thing to talk about.
Go for it.
So, I'll have mentioned this in the previous episodes, the video game episodes, but I've actually been working on my own video game for almost 2 years now, and I'm reaching very close to the end. So I'm stamping out some bugs, and I'm every single night I'm just at my computer, just trying to really polish up this game. But what I'm doing right now is I'm actually writing like a guide for it for players in case they get lost, because there's kind of like puzzles and stuff involved. So that's what I've been into lately. I've been making artwork for it and writing and doing all the graphic design and everything. And I'm very, very close to the end. So I'm like, as I get closer, I'm just investing more and more time, and it's kind of like been an obsession of mine. So I'll be very happy when this is behind me, because project has snowballed, and it's now been 2 years I've been working on this thing. So it's been a great experience. But if I knew it was going to be a 2-year project when I started, I probably wouldn't have started it. But
Yeah.
I'm glad I did, so I'm getting very close to the end. The game's called Pulpergeist. You're a detective. It's kind of like a pulp novel, but there's ghosts and stuff too.
Cool.
So it's kind of like a paranormal investigator kind of game. It has like original Game Boy graphics.
Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe I'll post a link in the description. But yeah, I'm so close to the end, and I have like box art and everything made up, and yeah, I'm getting very close. So
Cool.
it's been very time consuming, and it's been eating up a lot of my mental capacity. But yeah,
It'll be worth
it's
it.
been very, very fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of projects, right, as a Leo in the last episode.
No, I don't know why I keep doing it to myself, but I just become obsessed. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been really fun, and it's been really rewarding, because I love video games. Like anyone who listens to this podcast knows that at this point. So it's been like a really rewarding experience to make one myself, and now I have like a whole new layer of appreciation for game designers, like how much work is actually involved. And my game's very small in comparison to other games, but man, one person over 2 years is still like a lot of work that goes into even the smallest things. So.
I'm sure, yeah. Did you read that book? What's that really popular book from last year? Tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Yeah.
and tomorrow. I did.
Yeah.
That's a great book. I wonder if I talked about it. I think I talked about it on like our first episode.
So I had a lot about video. It was about video games, the main
Yeah.
focus. So
Yeah, that's kind of like how I feel about cooking. It's like no books have ever really tackled video games in a realistic way, but that one did a really great job. I will say it's probably the only book I've read that had anything to do with video games that did a good job. That wasn't nonfiction. I mean. But yeah, that's a great book if you haven't read it.
I have read it.
Oh, did you like it?
I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I feel like because I'm not a video game person, I didn't really connect with a lot of stuff they were going through. But I liked it. I would give it like 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
Just wasn't really my favorite.
Yeah, it kind of goes through like the history of video games too. So if you know more about that, I thought Zevlin, I think her name, or Zevin?
Zevin, sort of the Z, yeah.
Yeah. She did a great job, like walking you through the history of game development as the characters grow too. So I thought that was very accurate. I thought she did her research. I don't know if she's a gamer herself, but yeah, it's very.
Must be. I think it was so in depth.
Yeah.
You know.
That's all. That's what I've been into. Hopefully, next episode I won't be talking about it again.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. So the next thing I want to talk about is just a few quick podcasts that I've been listening to that I really like. So one of them is book related. Celebrity Memoir Book Club. Have you heard of that one?
I think so.
No.
So it's about these two girls. Basically, they read an autobiography by a celebrity and they discuss it and they go over it and they summarize it on the podcast. So you don't have to read it, but you feel like you have read it because they go through the whole thing. They go through the important parts. They skip over, the filler. And I just think it's really interesting because you really feel like you read the book. I think I actually added a book to Goodreads that I didn't read, but I heard them talk about it and I felt like I read it. So I don't know, it's just a fun thing. They do talk about themselves for like the first half hour, so you could skip that part, and then they get into the book. They did Prince Harry, all the books, all the autobiographies they did. And the second one is one we talked about before. It was Conan's podcast that I'm still very much obsessed with. Yeah. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. And that's another one that's very wholesome, and he's so funny and genuinely a good guy. And he does a thing, once a week where he talks to a fan from across the country, all over the world, and he's like, how did you hear about me? Because you're in Ireland or you're Argentina, and he's just so good natured, and some of the guests are really funny too, and I don't know, just a funny podcast to listen to.
Yeah. I've been a lifelong Conan fan. Like I remember growing up, I had a tiny little CRTV, maybe a 10-inch TV that I kept in my closet. This is before you needed a cable box to watch shows. Yeah. So I'd have to stay up late and turn on my TV and have coats over it so I didn't wake anybody else up, and I watched Conan. But I've always loved Conan, and I thought you were going to mention his assistant Sonia Movsesian. Yes. She has a book, an autobiography, which is very funny.
It was funny, yeah.
But his other host,
Matt
Gorley, thank you. Yes, so
I started that too after you recommended it to me.
I'm a huge Matt Gorley fan. I've been listening to him on podcasts for maybe a decade before the Conan podcast came out. So when they paired up together, I was so excited. Yeah. Matt Gorley is a hilarious improv comedian. Okay. But yeah, the mall walk in the podcast that you just mentioned, that's one of his newer podcasts. Yeah. Where he just walks around malls and narrates his experience walking around malls, and it's so funny.
Boring, but who is he talking to? What's his co-host?
Matt McConville is his other co-host.
And they just walk around malls. They're in California, so they walk around different malls where they are, and they go into Macy's, and they go into different stores.
And they get kicked out of Macy's.
They kicked out of Macy's. I think one time they didn't. The guy was cool with it. He's all right, no video, just recording. But it's actually really entertaining. Yeah.
They're great together. They did a podcast before mall walking called Pistol Shrimps Radio. Yeah. Have you heard of it? Uh-huh. So Pistol Shrimps is a women's rec league basketball, rec league basketball thing in California. So it's non-competitive women's basketball that's played at a YMCA, and they would narrate games. So they'd set up in the audience and pretend they were it was an NBA game or something, and they'd call it live.
I heard one episode of that recently. I think they aired that in between. And at first I was like, what am I listening to? Yeah. When is mall walking going to come on? But yeah, it was literally just that. Just them narrating a women's basketball game.
Yeah, they just riff so well together. And neither of them know anything about basketball, which makes it even funnier.
Yeah, they're freaking hilarious. Yeah. Okay, the third one is one I just discovered called Pearlmania 500. And on TikTok, there's this guy called Alex Pearl, and he talks about current events a lot, but he's one of those really funny creators who does it in an outlandish way where he screams into the camera and talks about what's going on with the world and the crazy stuff that goes on. And he has a podcast with his wife, and they talk about different events in history and some current events, some past events, and they're just really cute together, and it's a really informative way to get your news about things. They do deep dives on certain topics. I'm one of those people who can't read a nonfiction book, but I can listen to it. So I like podcasts for that because it condenses everything. So his podcast, I think, is one of those that I just started listening to, but I really like it.
Nice.
So Pearlmania 500. And the last one that I will say is there's 2 Australian podcasts called Shameless and Mamma Mia. And they're basically like talk shows, radio talk shows. But there's no fighting or bickering. Like, I feel like there is a lot here. The women, when they have disagreements, they talk about it. And they each have, different ways of looking at things and different opinions. But they don't fight. Like, it's not like The View. It's, they're very respectful of each other.
It's a novel idea.
And it's really very different. And they talk about a lot of U.S. stuff, too, not just Australian. They do talk about some stuff. But a lot of the events, too, are, celebrities and pop culture and... I just like listening to them.
Shameless and Mamma Mia?
Shameless and Mamma Mia. They're part of the same company, I want to say, over there. Yeah. So I can't tell any of them apart because they all sound the same to me. But they're also really good for pop culture stuff and, they're just entertaining as well.
Cool.
All right, so my thing is right now I have a competition with my sister. We're both very fast readers, and we're trying to see who could read the most books in 2023. So I'm in the lead right now at 56. I just finished my 56 book. Yes. And my thing is when I find a niche that I like, I attach myself to it and then I read every single book that I can find within this niche. So I'm in romantasy right now, fantasy romance books. Usually some YA, some new adult, but I've just been obsessed with it. And there's this new book that just came out a couple months ago, Fourth Wing.
I knew you were going to say that.
Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I had a huge discussion with Chuck about it because he is such a tough critic and he really just hates most books. And I forced him to read this, and he got as far as the 3rd chapter and then gave up. And we had a very long discussion about it. And there are things about this book that I was not thrilled with, but then there were things that I absolutely loved. And I like when something is super fast paced and when it sucks you into the action right away. So somebody was talking about how she does something different with her formula. She kind of combines YA and adult formulas when she's writing. But typically what you do is you introduce somebody to the world, and then sometime in the middle or within a couple of chapters, the world changes. You go to a new aspect of the world, so the scenery and everything is different. Now with this book, it's right away. The world is immediately different. It's new for the reader, and it's new for the main character as well. So she's thrown into this challenge, and I loved that. I love that we were just learning about all this through her. We are learning about this world and what it's like for her. And it's such a dangerous world. And she has like this huge deadly obstacle to face immediately to enter this new world. And I'm terrified of heights. Even as a tall person, I am terrified of heights. Yeah. And she has to cross this parapet in this downpour rain, and with one shoe on, she has to cross this parapet. It's super narrow, super uneven. People can push her off if they want. And yeah, it's terrifying. And I'm reading this, and just like a couple pages in, my heart is pounding. I'm sweating. I feel the sweat on my neck. And I'm like breathing heavy as I'm reading this book. And I love when a book can create a physical reaction out of me like that. So there were things about it that I didn't love. She uses just common day colloquialisms. Like she says for the win in it. And I'm like, you don't say that in a fantasy novel. You don't include that in a fantasy book. But I'm willing to overlook that because everything else was just so interesting. And then there's dragons in it. There's dragons, okay? Anything with dragons I'm into. And the dragons themselves have such unique personalities. They're like grumpy, and I love that. And I love the personalities that she gives the dragons. It's just really, really interesting. So if you can look past some of those things, because I can, I'm the type of person that if there's other aspects that I love about the book, I can look past the things that annoy me. So would I say it's a 5-star book? No, but I'd say it's 4-star, because everything else was really interesting. And I like one thing about it. is that she's in this dragon rider training academy, and she was never supposed to be in there. She trained her whole life to be a scribe, to enter this war college as a scribe and not as a dragon rider. And her mom, who is like this famous general, forces her to go into the dragon riding academy. And as a scribe with that background, she knows a ton about the history. And as she's in this dragon riding academy, she starts to realize that there's more to the history that they've actually been sharing. By learning about like recent events that are occurring, she's realizing that the army, I guess, is withholding information. So some of the history is incorrect. And she's just kind of uncovering all these secrets about it. And I think that's a really interesting take too, especially when you're talking about history and how it affects the present. And she's connecting the dots that some things in the history aren't connecting with the things in the present. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's the second rave review on this podcast for this book.
I'm so sorry.
No, Meg from Children's talked about this on her episode, the summer reading, the one after the summer reading episode. And she said the same thing. It's fantastic. I think she described it as like a modern take on like the Aragon books.
Yeah, yes.
But she's finished it, and I think she said she started rereading it immediately. So this is one to look out for, readers. Yeah. And it's a series, right? This is the first of 5 books, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that you kind of can go into dangerous territory with expanding a series for too long. You know, I definitely think that there is such thing as too long. I'm interested to see how she does it. I thought it was going to be a trilogy. This feels like something that could be a trilogy and wrapped up, you know, within 3 books. But we'll see. I'll see how she does. There are plenty of fantasy books where I feel like the series is just dragging on. The From Blood and Ash series, it was one of my favorites. I absolutely loved this series. But then I got to like the 3rd or the 4th book, and then I was like, okay, no. Now I'm done. Now it's going on too long. And now she's coming out with like a 5th book. And I'm just like, it's just dragging now. So I think it gets a little dangerous when you go after 3 books. You know, sometimes I feel like after 3 books, then it starts to get a little muddy.
Yeah, this has come up on the podcast before. I think because I avoid book series for that exact reason, especially ones that are still ongoing, because I don't want to invest time in something that's not going to have a payoff in the end. Which is why I like movies, because I know it has a start and an end, and it's why I prefer movies to TV shows generally. Yeah. Because TV shows might be good one season, and then you watch the next season, and it's trash, and you're like, well, why did I just wasted 2 seasons of my life when I could have
watched? It's not really a waste, though, if you enjoyed it.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I'd rather watch 5 movies and like 2 of the 5 than watch 2 seasons of a show and not, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like TV shows too. I was thinking that, like, after a few seasons, the writers run out of things to do with the characters, and then the quality goes downhill a lot.
Exactly, because shows are not generally written with like a 5-arc story. Right. They're written to sell 1 season, and then they get picked up again. They're like, okay, well, now what are we going to do?
Exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else? I'm out of stuff.
I just had one book. I wrote down one book, but I'm going to talk about something else that I read. The last book I read was something called Iona Iverson's Rules of Commuting. And it takes place in England similar to the LIRR, on a way to work. And it's about a woman named Iona Iverson who works as a kind of Dear Abby character at a magazine, I think it's called Modern Woman. So it's kind of antiquated in, 2023. But she's older now. She's in her 60s. And her editors and her bosses are getting younger and younger, and they're telling her she's got to keep up, she's got to get with the times. And she's like, I don't know what to do. And she's a very big personality. She wears kind of like bright, big, colorful outfits. Everyone knows who she is. But, on a train, you don't usually talk to people that you see every day. Maybe like a, hi, that's it. And one day she starts talking to the people around her, and she forms friendships with these people. And they're all people from different stages in their lives. There's one guy who's a nurse, but he has panic attacks almost daily at his job, and no one knows that. There's another guy who's a high-end investment banker who got fired from his company 3 months ago, and he's still taking the train to work because he doesn't want his wife to know. And it's all about how they need her to kind of help them and their lives. She gives advice, for a living. And they all kind of like intertwine their lives with each other. And it's a very quick read. It's nothing deep or nothing serious. But it is, interesting how everyone has their own life that you don't really know about on the train, and you have more in common than you might think, with some people. So and it ends on a good note. It ends in a happy, tied up little box of an ending, which I like. I don't like things that are left unsaid I hate that. I need to know.
Would you say it's a good summer read?
I do, yeah. I think it's definitely a good summer read, a good beach read. Yeah, and each chapter is told from the point of view of each of the characters too. So you get to know what they're thinking. So that was the last book I read. That's very good. 5 stars on Goodreads, I think I gave it.
All right. I think that's everything. That's what we're into. Thanks again for coming. This is great.
This was fun.
Yeah. All right. I don't know what the next episode's going to be about, but tune in, and I hope you enjoy. All right. Bye.
All right, bye, us.